I'm going live on YouTube as well. I didn't say that word. I'm going live on another channel. Uh, can't, can't do that. Hello, hello, hello. Awesome. Okay. So I also want to go into my started a career. I'm so proud of you. I want to know more about that on a personal note. Yeah. So let's share this out. I'm going to share it out to people in our circle. Let's see. Hello, Pam. Welcome. I just shared it out with the subscribers. I guess we have to share it out personally now with the subscribers. So if you're not subscribed and you want to be, so you get those notifications, I will share it out with the group. And I want to read a bit into what I wrote on my article this this week because I really came from this place of like a lot of knowledge and wisdom, and I did it in Elephant Journal too, but I also gave you all of this stuff. So things that I want you, that I'm going to encourage you guys to read for yourself is one, the Epstein files. Like if you haven't already, especially if you're coming from a place of being abused or have lived through it and you're ready to say, okay, this has happened. You're no longer avoiding. Okay. So often we're like, oh, I'm healed. I'm going to avoid it. It's not about avoiding it. It's about being able to look at it and say, yeah, that happened without it affecting and blowing up your entire life. Right? If you're still rebuilding, it's going to affect and blow up your entire life. It's going to have power and authority over you. If you're out of the rebuilding phase, you're literally who is supposed to be helping us wake up and make a change. So this is a call out for all of y'all. Now, why I want you to read the files themselves is if you're going off of all the information that everybody says on here, there's a lot of propaganda. And the propaganda is there because they feed on our fear. Hello, Sarah. Thank you, love. They feed on our fear. And when I say they feed on our fear, I truly mean that we are energy. Okay. We are biologically, interpersonally, energetic beings. And they're utilizing all of this stuff to pull us in different directions, to pull us apart, to trigger that energy release within us, and like Wi-Fi, literally like pull it out. So if you're not quite sure about that, then I want you to look into understanding how long-term childhood abuse affects us. Now, if you've been in long term, if you had that abuse, like myself and many of our community and our coaches at your own university, and that's part of your story, like look at, well, how is it affecting us? Because I really believe that so many people are normalized in this abuse because of the lack of power and authority that we hold in our own lives if it's been separated at such a young age. If you've been around me and my teachings for a minute, you know that it's not about going over and rehashing or controlling your behavior. So it's not about reviewing. You're not going to heal from abuse by reviewing the abuse. That is step one, acceptance and being able to admit that it happened. Step one, acceptance and being able to admit that it happened. But that's where society sticks us. At best, you go into some rehashing and control. So we go into like the DBT goes into like, how do I control my emotions? But nobody teaches you how to move through your emotions unless, like Pam, like we do. And it's a personal experience for you. Okay. So I want you to look at, and in this article, I share with you the CDC and the FDA's information. Okay. You got to be informed, the information about what's happening and how it affects your biochemistry, how it affects your neurology, how it affects your physiology, then how that affects your perception of life and what's happening. Because unless you reclaim power in these areas, it's going to be really fucking hard for any of us to just be in that reactivity. That's where they truly lack control. And so the CIA had a product called the Gateway Project, called the Gateway Project, and I give that in this article as well. Okay. And in that article or in that project, they share with you, we're proven that we are electromagnetic beings, that our thoughts have power, more power than is in this world, why and how our adrenaline, okay, so our trauma response adrenaline fuels energy, and why they want to keep us either numb on pills and drugs or not awake, right? Processing and healing. So if you know me, you know that I have been an advocate of, if you have been in therapy or other methodologies to heal for more than 3 years and it's still controlling your life, you're still isolating. I'm not saying you're not going to blow up every once in a while, but you're still isolating, you're still fearful, you still react to everything, then it's time to come in and reclaim that trust within yourself. And these files and these people that are being prosecuted, we have all lived that truth. If you're listening live, like how many of you actually got the opportunity to see your abuser prosecuted or anything happen to them at all? Or if they were, maybe yours were like mine, like kind of on an ankle bracelet for a couple years and they had to stay away from you, but nothing actually happened to him. He never did any jail time for what he did to me. So, right? The Gateway Project is going to share with you, so look at those files, look into that. It's going to share with you how human consciousness, when we're abused, and that separation of human consciousness, what happens there. And the power of when we have head and heart together, when our thoughts and our emotions come together to create your vibrational field, how you can truly do anything. And if you want to know more about that, look into heart math. But today I want to talk about, really what I think is happening here, and share with you a bit about this article. So what have I said so far, if anything, hits home for you or aligns? What aligns? What makes you go, Pam, what are your thoughts there? What is your idea? All right, I'll share on the FB. So I really want this. I know I just said a lot, but and I can say more. I can just share from my experience, but I would love to have an interaction. And if you're on the FB, come to the tube, and if you're on the tube, come to the FB. I'm praying 5 grand to the first 5 messages. Got it. Logan, stop. Stop. Oh my gosh, that's a horrible picture of me. As it is the share. All right, so I'm on the FB at Dr. Lisha Antica. Um, or I mean the U the UT, and we're here. So if you're here, say hello. If not, I'm really going to go over some of my thoughts because I think that this is some of the most powerful truths that I can share after 20 years of helping survivors step into their sovereignty and heal, right? Not by figuring out and rehashing what happened to them, but by feeling and moving through it. So we've seen this propaganda used before, right? The power, the trauma, and and activate within us. And we've seen them not be prosecuted or not much happen to them, right? Right before the files circulated yet again, right? We had Diddy. So they re-traumatize us. And when I say they, I mean media, the powers that be re-traumatize us over and over and over and over again. And we might think, oh, that's a bad thing because they're re-traumatizing us. And if we're unhealed, it is. But they're working against themselves because the mainstream media, like through this way, like we're going through an awakening. If you're going through an awakening, say me, right? If it's awakening you to the fact that there's mass child abuse happening right now, that there's trafficking, there's abuse within institutions, there's corruption. So history shares with us that these structures, these powers that be, they hurt the most vulnerable people. And some of the things that I did in my dissertation, which was study. Hey Jack, I emailed you back, but is study how trauma affects our consciousness and our energy field and our awarenesses, and how trauma is healed through identity and integration. It's healed through identity and integration. You don't have a depression issue, you don't have PTSD, you don't have narc or borderline, you don't have any of that. You have an object identity. If you've been through this. And that trauma response is put out in an electromagnetic field, and it keeps you controllable, gullible, fearful, and reactive, both in-house and out of house. If you don't know it's abuse because it was so normalized and it's normalized in our society, then what happens is you just continue it, unbeknownst to you. I was talking to one of our coaches today, and she was just sharing like how there's interfamilial abuse in her family, and how those people like she cares about and she loves, and she doesn't want to heal or hurt, right? Even though she wants to heal and help other people heal, she has healed. And her ability to heal has let her have that compassion for herself, that she can look at the inner child who loves the perpetrator and separate love from abuse. But in our society, we haven't been able to do this because it's ran by this corruption in this story, and then it's normalized. So, on a subconscious and unconscious level, in the masses of the world, we let it be okay. Whether it's child marriage, whether it's trafficking, whether it's porn, it's a million, billion dollar, multi-billion dollar actually business, and that's proven. And this is not a conspiracy, okay? It's documented crime that goes untreated, and it's learned helplessness. Okay, learned helplessness. And where do we learn it? In our houses. If you guys have anything to say about it, jump in, type in your thoughts on it. I would love to have a conversation with you. Hello, Tanya. I would love to have a conversation with you. Awesome. Well, I'm here every once in a while. Yeah. All right. I don't do, I, no, nobody should work and hold trauma, right? Each other's trauma and for, because it's a cost. Trauma costs us. And healing is a commitment. And if you've been trying to heal trauma by putting that responsibility on anybody else without making an investment in time and money and an effort within yourself, it's not going to happen. And that I know, okay? That's not a conspiracy. We hear it. We hear that this abuse is happening in music, right? I don't know if you've listened to some of Michael Jackson's stuff. So letting go of things we have no control of is one thing. Yeah, that sets you free. But what do you have control over? What will you stand up for? That's the next question. We need more people getting out of that healing and letting go and processing and more into this is reality. We're facing reality. We're in reality. And this is what we're going to do about it with all of our faculty, with all of our strength. So what do you have control of? And what are you doing with that control? Right? That's a question. What intention are you doing with that control? Pam, I love it. I love it. Right? And what didn't you say that a lot? So what are you continuously letting go of the same things? Using your experiences to make changes. I love that. So how are you doing that personally? Thank you. Thank you. I would love to talk about how we're doing that and inspire each other, right? So one thing I'm doing is I'm coming on here live and I'm talking about it. I'm writing more articles and for my community as well as Medium, more articles. I was in Thrive Network magazine this week writing an article, Elephant Journal writing articles, right? I'm writing more articles, Substack, I'm writing more articles to share there's more to healing than talking about it. There's more to healing than admitting that it happened. There's more to healing than that reactivity. What do we do next, right? Many of us have direct experiences of SA. So many of us do. If you do, say me too in the comments. Hey. And many of us have direct experience of some level of trafficking. I know I was shared. And it was normalized for many of us in our families. And some of us, it wasn't even held up or kidnapped or hurt. Some of us, it was normalized so much that it looked like love. We were warped into thinking that it was love. And then we were blamed. for our reaction. We were blamed for our sensitivity. We were blamed for our object causes. So you're heading up support groups. I love that. I love that. Yeah. And supporting people in those support groups. I love that. So here's what really fascinates me about being, and I wrote about this in the article, about being a trauma specialist. And I train trauma specialists, I train coaches in trauma therapy and trauma awareness. And I'm going deeper into that. I teach at the university. And so why fear works so well on trauma survivors and why they want more and more of us to realize that we've gone through trauma is because when we're worked up, we can't think. When our body is in that hypervigilant state, we can't think. We stay stuck. We stay stuck. So you can see them. The only one that you have to buy, you can go to Substack and see them. You go to Medium and see them, Dr. Lisha Antica. And then Thrive Women Thrive, you can buy their magazine. It's an awesome magazine. Some great articles are in it this month. That's there too. And you can join our Thrive Network Summit that's happening the 16th. And those links are actually in my bio. So if you click my picture here and click through, it's absolutely free to join. You can listen to more stories on healing, on thriving, on stepping into the solution, right, of this. So if the powers that be, if the media, if our families, if the abusers, okay, on a mini scale and a macro scale, like if they keep us in fear, we can't think. So why sexual abuse is one of the most devastating forms of violence is because it like feeds on every aspect of us. It is physical, it is mental, it is emotional, it is spiritual. It affects our authority, our autonomy. It's neurological. Okay? So it affects your nervous system, your attachment wiring, how you have relationships with people, your identity, and who you feel like you are. And if you have a story around that you haven't worked through with people, with somebody that you trust, it's very important. Now, some people go into therapy or they go into coaching or they go into place and the person wants to create a mini them. What I want is to help you, and all of our coaches like Pam at Your Own University want to help you find you. Yes, Nikki XE, that's absolutely. I'm a man and I've been abused by women. It is not a gender issue. It is a way that society controls. And you go into abusing yourself or you abuse others or you abuse substances, right? Thank you, City. You build substances, right? The abuse continues. It is memory encoding. It's memory encoding. If they can keep you trapped in that loop and then feeling guilty about it, feeling bad about it, feeling like you, PTSD is a healing symptom. If you haven't watched all of my information on PTSD, I've did deep dives for years in it because I love the topic. Thank you. I love the topic. That is just the truth. PTSD is a healing symptom. But if you're scared to look at what you already survived because of a judgment that you had around you, it feels like abuse again. And that's what the files are doing for us. So how do we cycle back through it? How do we do something about it? First is claim our sovereignty, then claim our choice. Absolutely, women can abuse too. Absolutely. Now, the majority of abusers are men, even the abusers of men. The majority of abusers, SA abusers, are men. They are the penetrators. But it can happen both ways. It can definitely happen both ways. And if we deny that, right, then we're cutting off stories of other people. Now, what happens with hormone regulation when you're abused, SA? Hormones are thrown off. All of them, the estrogen, the testosterone, the progesterone, the serotonin, the dopamine, all of our major functioning hormones are thrown off. Ask your endocrinologist. Ask your own body. How has that affected you? What responsibility do you have around your body? Emotional regulation is totally thrown off, and they use that to control and manipulate us through the news, through one another. And if you've ever lived with an abuser, you can do that. Okay? And then there's a sense of agency. And most of the time for abuse survivors, we are looking outside of us for that sense of agency, not inside of us claiming the agency. If we're looking inside of us, it's usually we don't have it. We're looking for the affirmation. We're looking for them to believe us. We're looking for them to be prosecuted. We're looking for them to be there. Not all women are passive aggressive, and some men are passive aggressive as well. But yeah, women abuse more emotionally and men abuse more physically. I will give you that. So when trauma occurs during development, what happens is we have a fragmented self, right? So one of my missions when, I said, okay, I'm going to get my PhD in this. And I began studying what makes a self. Because what I knew is I wasn't the abuse. I wasn't the story behind the abuse. I wasn't the outbursts. I wasn't the next bad relationship. But I didn't know how to claim who I was. So what makes a person a person? And really, I found that there's 4 fundamental elements of a self that we have autonomy over. And then we have our soul, the essence of consciousness that is yours and yours alone, that your vessel connects. But when we are abused or we're in a hypervigilant state or we're locked in fight, flight, or freeze, we cannot regulate the autonomy of self. And it's not safe for the soul to come home because the body, the mind, the emotions, and your etheric field say, hey, we're not safe yet. We don't like ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. And what happens when you don't trust yourself, you don't like yourself, and you're looking outside of yourself for a permission to be yourself, to earn or prove your worth, what happens is the soul is just hanging on by a thread. We call it disassociation. So after CPTSD, PTSD, and that awareness, what really, really, really got me is this disassociation that we have. And when we're disassociated, that identity, right, the disorders that they claim and they give us, that they can give us drugs for, narcissism and BPD and it goes on and on and on and on and on. All of that stuff can't come home, can't really land. But if they can get us on the drugs, they can get us on stuff, they're going to keep us numb and controllable. And the entire system is about control. So not only is personality fragmented, but also on this more quote unquote mystical and neurological aspect, how we can manifest, how we can master our world, how we can actually be a change to the systems that be. That can't happen as long as we don't feel safe, as long as the body's in shock. So that's why it's so important for healers and advocates and professionals in this area to begin helping somebody holistically hold power within your system. So if you do react to something, you react with intention. You react with your brain. How do you feel safe? You reprogram your system. And it's a methodology. So I lead people through it in a program called the Amazing You Methodology. It's where you find yourself. So you go through your your physical body and you say, well, this is my physical body. How am I giving this power away? Right? How do I want to eat? How do I want to move? How do I want to feel? How do I take care of my body? Same with the brain. What do I think? What are my opinions? What was trained in me? What was programmed in me? How do I reclaim it? Same with the emotions. How do I process emotions? What stories do they go through? And how do I express them? Or are they in control of you? Right? So my clients walk through this persona of understanding that and then learning how to work your electromagnetic field, because you are energy, period. We are all energy. Everything is energy. This is energy. The computer's energy. So what if you don't like your neighbors? It's not about your neighbor, but that's case in point. If you're focused on your neighbor, then look at yourself. If you don't like your neighbors, then move. Where would you like to be? What boundaries can you set for yourself? Don't pay attention to your neighbors. Don't give them that power anymore. Reclaiming your power. So personal authority collapses when the world controls you, like your neighbors. Okay? And victim blaming is so common. Victim blaming is what connects us all. Victim blaming is what holds us down. Victim blaming. And that's blaming yourself for their behavior and blaming yourself for their behavior. Okay? We get to take responsibility for our behavior. And sometimes we don't have the best of behaviors, right? I have definitely had humiliating moments in my life where I acted a fool, that I had trauma responses, right? When a child learns I'm not safe, I don't have control, my body isn't mine, this forms a perspective that through the year that I work with people in the Amazing You journey, you reclaim that perspective of yourself. You reclaim that autonomy. You don't leave with perfection, because there is no such thing as perfection. We're constantly growing and changing and evolving. That's the beauty of being a human. But you're able to look at yourself with compassion. You're able to look at yourself with authority. You're able to look at yourself and say, I'm not going to blame me for their actions anymore. I'm going to take action to be in authority and have autonomy in my life and stand for other people having that autonomy, unless you're an abuser. So we hear this whole concept of like soul harvesting. Okay, it's kind of conspiracy theory-ish. But I want you to know that I've been working with souls and on the soul level with people, and as a clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient. Excuse me. No, no substance is a solution. Ooh, I needed water. I could go get water. All right. So Nick, no. No substance, even a medication, is a solution. The only solution is for you to love your body, have mastery in your brain, meaning you can tell what thought's yours, what thought's theirs, and where you want to go. It's not perfection. You know how to feel and you can process your feelings. Most people drink alcohol or do substances because they're running away from a feeling. A break from what? From healing and dealing. That's the cycle. Go find something that you enjoy. Make peace with yourself to love yourself. Train your brain to think for you instead of against you. Right? They want to keep you in this cycle of healing and dealing and function, lower function. We call it energy harvesting. Okay? Everything is energy. But when you create a safe place and your soul can come home, they can't break that. They can disconnect it. They can have your protective mechanism try to kick it out so they can keep control over you, but that's it. It's fear-based reactivity. And when you awaken your sovereignty, when you learn how to do the things you didn't get to learn how to do when you were being enslaved as a child, then you learn how to feel. You learn how to think. You learn how to take care of your vessel. Even if your vessel isn't perfect. Even if your vessel is going through something. You learn how to work your energy field. You learn how to be the master of your energy so they no longer get to harvest it. And you're no longer giving it away by giving your attention and your focus to neighbors or people or subjects or the government that you hate. Instead, you can take action to change things, right? This is science. We are photons and electrons. And mainly we are space. Nick, now you're being really like, this is not even the topic that we're on, so I will block you. Or you can have the conversation of the topic. All right. So here's the thing. We've had great teachers teach us how to live in this sovereignty and show us the great works, right? The Essenes. Jesus was an Essene. The great yogis and the mystics of the world, right? Now people that are in control are utilizing this technology within themselves to run their own vessels, their own computer systems, to live in their power. Not from a place of fear or reactivity, but from a place of sovereignty. Where you have power over your neurological self. Maybe not all the time. Like I totally screw up. I have issues, right? And then I go, but instead of going, oh my God, that controlled me, or I'm a horrible person. Now I go, oh my gosh, my brain, my story, my reactivity, my nervous system needs healing in that space, needs witnessing in that space, needs a love in that space right now. What can I learn from this experience? What can I glean from this time? What space in myself can I claim back so I can share myself with others more fully? So I can be an advocate more clearly? So fear is controlled by neurological activity that floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline, that narrows your perception, that drives compliance. And this is what happens from abuse. Now, if you were abused, you're programmed for this. And the world uses it. Good news, nobody can program you like your soul can program you. So it's about looking within. So I have a program called Safe, Secure, and Successful. And SSS is, you can find it on my website, Your Own University. It's a series of practices. And I used to do them here for free. And what this does is helps you to understand yourself, to spend time with yourself, to align with yourself. Yeah, Tony Robbins talks about this is not new information. This is fact, right? But what Tony Robbins does is he does it on this mass scale through neuro linguistic programming, which is one piece of it, which is really important, but it's not the whole thing, right? It's not the whole thing. So the CIA, like I said, did this series of the Gateway Project, and I in my article I share these documentations, right? And I share with you like how to start mastering yourself. The Amazing You methodology we do every year in the You Matter Club. So the You Matter Club, you're going to walk through 2 months of weekly coaching and looking at like how do you take care of your body? Where do you have restraint with your body? Where's your body speaking to you when you're not listening? How do you move your body? How do you heal your body? How does your body, which is unique to you, want to be taken care of? And I help you figure that out. Like I've helped thousands of people. And then we move into mindset. Once you know that your body's being taken care of, it moves and shifts the slowest. So we're going to go into mindset and we're going to go into how do you think? What stories are you running? Where are you being controlled by the world, society, your story, your history? And where can you begin thinking with discernment for yourself? What belief systems and limiting beliefs do you need to reprogram? Do you get to let go so you can lift up? We spend 2 months there. And then we go into how do you feel? So your fascia holds your emotional body. How do you feel in your body? What stories are connected to those feelings? Now you know how to rewrite your stories. What actions are perpetuated by the feelings that you're avoiding, scared of, or being manipulated by? How can you embrace those feelings? How can we reclaim your energy in motion so you can move your body, your mind, your emotions, your life, the life of your family, your children, everything in the direction that you want? And then we go into your mastery field. This is your electromagnetic field. This is your magnetism. This is where you set boundaries. This is where you claim your space in this world. This is where you lay ownership to yourself. You learn how to master yourself. You cut cords. You take your power back from places that didn't need to have your power in the first place. And then we spend 2 months on how to have beautiful relationships, because I don't know about you, but for me, I didn't learn how to have good communication. I didn't learn how to set boundaries. I didn't learn that I had the right for anything, right? I was taught to give it away, give it away, give it away. That's such a hard journey. It's not a hard journey, actually. It's only a hard journey if you look at it the same way that society tells you to look at it, is that you're broken. If you look at it from that perspective of I'm broken, I need fixed, I need. Now, if you're no longer scared of your own story and you can admit that you survived your own story, and if more of your story comes up through your own leveling up and you can trust yourself to deal with it, or the support around you to be there for you, and that's why I'm there and our coaches are there for you in the You Matter Club, right? You're going to level up with ease. I've helped people that have gone through 12 years of counseling heal in 3 months. And you can look at my testimonials, lishaantica.com, but just my name minus the doctor.com. Look at my testimonials. I've trained beautiful teachers, beautiful coaches in this. After you go through a relationship, though, you're going to step into your purpose. And this is where people get the careers that they want. They get money. My clients oftentimes make more money than me when they get done. They come in with, a lot of them come in with nothing. And these are my private clients. So they made a significant more investment in themselves than the You Matter Club. The You Matter Club is the most affordable way that I can give you one-on-one connection coaching for a whole year to step you back into your own sovereignty. So you're no longer being harvested. So your energy is yours. So then you can take action, and then we can stand up to these files. Then we can lay claim without fear. Then we're not in reactivity. Then we're not victim blaming anymore. Then we can stand together. Then we can teach each other. Then we can help each other. And that's why I really feel like we're here. So does anybody want to know more about how to get into the You Matter Club? Because today you can start for $197 and you can join. And we're really going to talk this next month. We're focusing on abundance and money. And then we're going to go right into that body zone, because that is your foundation. Reclaiming your vessel. So your soul, your essence can come back, and you don't have to cope. You don't have to manage. You don't have to fix. You don't have to effort anymore. You don't have to be stuck in the matrix. This is all science-based. It's all factual-based. It's all historically based. I have the education, the experience to back it up, and then I train coaches in this. So all of my coaches are going through the You Matter Club as well. Past, present, and future coaches are in there as well. So if you're like, you know what, I've gone through a lot of healing and I actually want to make a career out of this. I want to learn how to do this. You get the club for free when you join our holistic coaching certification program. And you get to go through the Amazing You journey for yourself and learn how to help people come back into the sovereignty. Awesome. So here is how you're going to start. Okay, it's super, super simple to start, you guys. There are 3 phases of healing to know where you're at and if this is a perfect fit for you. The first is the rebuilder. This is the person that knows that there's some separation. There's disassociation, there's PTSD, there's anxiety, there's depression, there's lack of self-worth, right? There's something there to heal. There's disconnection with their own sovereignty and their own self-love. That's the rebuilder. They know that it's there. The second is the messenger. You've been through some therapy, you have some great coping skills, and you want to be a part of the solution. You're going to step into that and you're going to find your message. You might get certified as a holistic coach. You might have some certifications underneath you. You're like, yes. And the last I call the architect. And you are the person that has the wisdom, has this, but you're not quite sure how to put it into a beautiful package to really go out there and be a part of the change. And we have a 3-point program with that, and I can talk on that later if you want to. That quiz, okay, to figure out where you're at in your own journey, that quiz is at yourownuniversity.com. So yourownuniversity.com, go in there, take the quiz, and at the end of the quiz, you are going to be invited to schedule a consultation with me. Now, this consultation will talk about where you're at, what you can do on a personal note, and if you want to, and you're a fit, you may be invited to either work with me in one capacity or another. Because I know that right now, the world needs more people that are standing in their sovereignty, that are no longer reactive. And if they are reactive, they know how to own it, reclaim it, and move through it. That are in community, and that's the You Matter Club, and are able to speak their truth and step into the sovereignty. Okay. And I want to invite you to that. So let's start with the quiz at yourownuniversity.com. You can DM me, okay? You can email me at info@yourownuniversity.com. And you can look at my personal work and everything at lishaantica.com. And with that, I have to go because I have a client in 1 minute. So thank you so much. Check out our book, or check out my article, you guys, at Substack. And I will see you there. I'll see you there. Oh, wait a minute. I guess she's at 3:30. I should know that. I just got that message. I'm going to sign off the tube here. Thank you so much, you guys, for listening and watching the replay. And let me know that you were here, please, if you're listening to this point.